Hey, so here's the thing. Oh wait, sorry. So here's the thing. I just found out that they streamed the Pokemon Go one too, because I was like, why is it always the card games, even though I see Pokemon Go on TikTok streaming the Pokemon Go ones? Guess what? You're having the same fucking time. And I know this. I don't know why is it labeled 2026? So that way, like, they're naming the champions for 2026. I don't know, but I mean, I know we're close, but like, I mean, we're in October 11th now. Anyways, got my text up and ready. Let's just go ahead and do this. Fuck you. Come on. All right. Is that good? I think that may be good. Unfortunately, though, let's go like this. Mm, I'm gonna go like, wait, can you see that shit? No. Let's put this like right here, and it's okay. That can be fine. That's fine. It's like good. The color looks a little bit like booty cheeks though. Um, let's change her up. I think that might be good. I don't know if that's not even gonna look at or not. I don't know. We'll see. Uh, yeah, it kind of is. Oh well. Let's see. Let me just unmute this shit now for you guys. And yeah, if you want to see me playing Fortnite, I'll be streaming. I'll be streaming in a moment. All right. All right. And I'll try to look at the chats for both. But just keep in mind it's going to be a little hectic. A little hectic. Okay. Oopsies. That's not how you close it up. My bad. I think this might be good. Maybe. Let's try that. Does that look good? Actually, that's perfect. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't see the entire. Well, bro. I want you guys to see like the Pokemon. If I were to go like this. Okay, well now it seems fucking tiny. Can you let me enlarge it? Actually though, can you let me fucking enlarge this? Actually, yeah, it's working. It's working. Bro. I mean, that's good enough, right? That might just be good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. Can I just unmute it now? I'm gonna mute it, and you can hear me at the same time. All right. I I like this one more because I love Pokemon Go, but it was interesting at first to learn about the card games, but now that I feel like I know enough. But I mean, but to know that I enjoy Pokemon Go more. So yeah, let's do Pokemon Go. Oh, Pokemon Go! Living vicariously through them. I can't play it because my phone's storage. But hopefully one day again, if I feel like it. Yeah.
Altaria felt like it really was able to find its target, getting big damage onto that Charjabug, and then when it mattered most, waiting the turn, watching like, for Battle Bill to try and fire off.
Actually, it's gonna be like, unless if I mute it. Okay, that's what I said. Okay.
Back onto the Altaria. Great plays from Snots, and honestly, it's been an unbelievable series so far.
Maybe we'll get an opportunity to see that catch again. I'm very curious to see just how much energy the Altaria had when the catch occurred, because theoretically, maybe Battle Bill was forced to throw that energy, right? If there was a move, actually no energy. He could have farmed up a little bit more, but I think he would have gotten fainted before he reaches back-to-back charge attacks there.
That was just really good patience by Snots, pausing the turn and then switching so that Battle Bill, who has to try and snipe at the exact timing before the energy's ready for the Dusclops, was caught unprepared. And we have lock-ins. Game number 3. It's going to be Shadow Scissor for Snots into Charge-a-Bug for Battle Bill.
All right, this is going to be an immediate swap out from Snots, and the the standard Dusclops is going to be answered by the Murkrow. Going for the foul play immediately is going to do a lot of super effective damage, but not enough to knock out the incredibly bulky Dusclops.
Dusclops loves that extra energy, as Dusclops now has the potential to get 2 shields away from the Murkrow. Ice Punch will hit for big damage. Murkrow actually hangs on. I was not expecting Murkrow to survive. Murkrow actually survived a super effective charge attack, Phoebe. I'm in a little bit of a loss, but Battle Bill doesn't play for switch advantage. Instead, letting the Murkrow get knocked out.
I don't think Snots is that close to another Shadow Punch. Not going to be able to make it because of the super effective Astonishes coming through from the Galarian Corsola on Battle Bill's side. However, switch advantage has been won for Snots, and he's got pretty good matchups in front and in back. Of course, Flamethrower for that Charge-a-Bug, and Night Slash here for the Galarian Corsola.
Night Slash is going to hit for some pretty massive damage. Battle Bill can look to grab the Protect Shield and then look to send in that Charge-a-Bug. Nightshade is going to be shielded. There's the Charge-a-Bug. Snots is going to stay in this matchup, go for the Night Slash before switching out. Battle Bill has to decide, is it worth the Protect Shield? No! Choosing to let the Night Slash go. Night Slash is going to land, and now out comes Altaria. Altaria, these Dragon Breaths high. Does Battle Bill go for the switch? Simultaneous switch. Shadow Scissor into the Corsola. Corsola gets far down, and Snots with the 1 HP survive, exiting with the Night Slash, and even throws the Bullet Punch as well.
And I'm pretty sure the Altaria has move for the Charge-a-Bug at this point. Is there enough? Does it need a few more Dragon Breaths? A few more Dragon Breaths right before the discharge is loaded, and that is so close. 1 or 2 turns difference here wins the game for Battle Bill, but no, Snots reaching the Sky Attack, securing victory in game number 3, and a huge hug between these two friends up on stage. You love to see it.
In a battle of friends, a half second is the difference between victory and defeat, and Snots, he has been unbelievable at these Milwaukee Regional Championships. He was a finalist last year, and he's back in top form, and that was honestly a pretty difficult matchup. Bill played very well. That charge attack priority catch, the CMP sack swap there was unbelievable, but Snots was able to perfect energy management, escape, and win that game by half a second's difference.
I feel like that half, I don't know the exact number. I can recall 2 before on the top of my head that we have seen those CMP catch plays, one from Inadequance, and I feel like Z's Wireless made one as well. So at the very most, we've seen 5 of them ever. I'm just gonna, add a few more for the ones that I'm not able to remember. So very impressive plays here from Battle Bill, showing that he is a force to be reckoned with. He has all of the mechanical knowledge he needs to be a top battler.
Can we talk about the simultaneous switch right there? Because if Snots switches any later, Battle Bill gets that charge attack, takes the knockout, and then does not lose that final Protect Shield. And losing that final Protect Shield is what ended up costing him, because the Charge-a-Bug could not protect itself against the move from the Altaria. So an absolute roller coaster of a game, but Altaria 3 Dragon Breaths away, a half second of outpace means that Snots is going on to lose his finals.
Additionally, if he switched any slower, I think the Galarian Corsola would have been able to reach that Nightshade. Remember, it fainted with it because of that final Bullet Punch. So had the timing differential been any different, the Bullet Punch damage wouldn't have registered and the Nightshade would have been able to be thrown. So just really close on every single front there in that endgame.
What a well-played series. You honestly love and hate to see 2 friends battling, because this battle is going to mean something a little bit extra for them, but at the same time, you never want to be the one to knock your friend out of a tournament. But hey, what I imagine is going to be a great memory for the both of them, getting to go up on stage, battle it out, and honestly, an amazingly played series on both sides.
I can't imagine that either trainer will have any regrets from that matchup. They both laid it all out there, played their best. Incredible matches, and I only can hope that the rest of our matches for the rest of the day can live up to that one.
And speaking of our matches upcoming, the battles never stop here in Milwaukee. We have Group H Losers Round 5 between Dr. Roast Beef and Spandalicio.
Yeah, Spandalicio and Dr. Roast Beef are long-time players in this in the Pokemon Regional Championships. I believe they are both have been around since the very first season, if not the second season that we've been playing Pokemon Go at these regional events. So they are both veterans of this stage, and it seems like for whatever reason they're playing rock, paper, scissors up on stage, and they are just continuing to throw rock after rock after rock. Call these players Bastiodon. They're just smacking each other down.
Well, I mean, normally I'd call it rock, paper, scissors, but it looks like that was just rock, rock, rock at that point. And Spandalicio does have a rock type on the team, does have Credilli, but for Dr. Roast Beef, the trainer who kept going for rock every single time, I looked across the team feed, and unless I need to get my eyes checked, I don't see a rock type.
Yeah, I only see 2 options for rock typing coverage, but neither of those are coming from rock type Pokemon. And realistically, I just want to like back up a little bit and shame myself for making the Bastiodon Smackdown joke when realistically there was a rock throw joke that was like right there for the grabbing, right? Like they were rock throwing the rocks in rock, paper, scissors. I can't believe I missed that.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of Carbink, and that's really the only Pokemon that would run Rock Throw. But Carbink, it just feels very, very risky considering that the most commonly used Pokemon are, what? It's Credilli, it's Gastrodon, Clodsire increasing in usage as well. It really seems like Carbink wouldn't really have anywhere to go.
Not in this meta. Maybe in metas past, but any meta that's dominated by ground types, fast attack damage that is rock typing just doesn't really want to stick around. And maybe you're like, oh, but Corviknight's a flyer. It'll take some damage from. It's another situation where that it's not 2 times super effective. It's just the 1 time. But you have a lot of play. The one thing that Carbink does have though, is no Iron Head, right? So you're not taking that double super effective charge attack damage from that steel and flying type of Corviknight.
Yeah, that would really be the one thing that Carbink would do better in that matchup is it is actually a wall to the current charge attacks of the Corviknight. But luckily, we don't have to talk about Carbink too much. We do have to talk about Corviknight as it is on Spandalicio's team. And I have really liked that I feel like Corviknight has offered a lot of neutral play in this meta. Although, considering that Dr. Roast Beef has that Talonflame, that does make save switching the Corviknight, which has been a strategy we've seen quite a bit, suddenly feel a lot more risky. Because Corviknight, if you end up on a Shadow Talonflame, that Shadow Talonflame is leaving with 100 energy and an attitude. It is going to be an absolute wrecking ball into your line of 3.
100 energy and attitude and like 75 boosts to its attack. Let's be real. A Pokemon that we've talked about time and time again, and you are a master of knowledge of, is that Shadow Dusknoir yes, it is a Shadow Dusknoir on the side of Dr. Roast Beef. And I think this is the second time we've seen the Pokemon, but the first time we've seen it go up against a Shadow Dusknoir. That is the Furret. It's going to have those super effective Sucker Punches and resist all of the Ghost type damage, but it really does not want to take a Dynamic Punch. I think maybe from full health it is a pretty comfortable survive, and you're really not ever taking all that much chip damage from the Astonishes or a Shadow Punch. So I'll be really curious to see if Dr. Roast Beef feels comfortable bringing that Shadow Dusknoir into a team that could potentially hard wall it.
I think it would be a pretty big risk. And granted, sometimes the biggest risks can have the biggest rewards. But Shadow Dusknoir, we have seen it oftentimes save switch quite a bit because trainers haven't really had a Ghost Resist, but there are 2 strong Ghost Resists on the team, the Furret and the Wigglytuff that you had identified. And Furret, Dynamic Punch would do a lot of damage, but if it's shielded, then the Dusknoir is basically doing no damage, while the Furret has typically an ability to farm down and exit with 100 energy. I think you said 75 boosts, and Furret could completely run away with things as well. But taking a look across this team, a Pokemon that I really like to look at is Shadow Talonflame. Because Shadow Talonflame, I would argue, the only Pokemon that comes close to being a check for it is the Galarian Corsola. But even Galarian Corsola can get overwhelmed by the Shadow Talonflame, especially if the Talonflame gets an energy advantage. So that could be something that Dr. Roast Beef relies on is if there is a bad matchup, does Talonflame end up being the safe swap? Because overall, Spandalicio's team composition does seem very, very soft to it.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comparison again to the Shadow Dusknoir. Shadow Talonflame's a Pokemon that you can put in the lead, use 2 shields, win switch. You can safe swap it, use that to win switch, or you can leave it in the back, use 2 shields, and sweep with it. So I agree. I think it's looking like Dr. Roast Beef is going to likely bring that Talonflame each and every time, and if it ever lands on a Corviknight or a Wigglytuff, it's going to be lights out.
It would be absolutely devastating. Taking a look at the lines that Dr. Roast Beef could run, I do think potentially the pairing of Clodsire and Shadow Talonflame could be an interesting one, as Clodsire does fine enough into the Credillion Corsola, which are realistically the only things that could necessarily give Talonflame trouble. So that could be an option, because ideally if you're safe switching that Shadow Talonflame, you wouldn't want to have your lead Pokemon be weak to either the Credillia or the Corsola. I would say specifically the Corsola, because if you are weak to Corsola on the lead and you safe switch Talonflame instantly, you're 1 turn behind. And that then means that instead of the first charge attack for Corsola being reached on to charge attack priority, Corsola would outpace by a turn. It could throw its charge attack instantly, and it would be perfect timing, and that would really make the matchup feel quite awkward. So I think when it comes to line construction, Dr. Roast Beef will have to be careful. The Talonflame is strong, but you don't want to find yourself in a position where you're safe switching a Talonflame into a Corsola. That gets off a turn.
All right, here we go into game number 1. It's going to be Fortress into Corsola. Not the best lead for Dr. Roast Beef, but as we called out, it's going to be a Talonflame in the back. And I have to imagine that at some point he's going to try to look to a safe swap into Lapras.
The Corsola did throw off its energy, so this could be an opportunity for Dr. Roast Beef to look to try and pivot out here, get aggressive with the Talonflame, but looks like going to stay in for now and actually safe switch into the Lapras. Lapras will take super effective damage from Power Gem, but Lapras has brought Under Trainer's teams not only for the neutral play that it offers, but as well for the bulk. Even though it's a super effective Power Gem, Lapras can survive, so Dr. Roast Beef looks like might be saving all Protect Shields for that Talonflame. I think that would be a pretty nice decision, considering there's absolutely no fast pressure of the Talonflame in the back.
And as you have called out, typically it's Sparkling Aria plus Ice Beam, but because of the chip from the Bug Bites, we're going to only need 2 Sparkling Arias here, and it allows Dr. Roast Beef to outpace Spandalicio here. I believe that was a charge attack tie, so Sparkling Aria picks up the knockout, switch advantage gained for Dr. Roast Beef. However, he's going to get Mud Slap down here, but a quick pivot into the Fortress here to get off a charge attack as soon as possible.
I think for Spandalicio, if Spandalicio wants to take the knockout, overfarming will be important, and saving that charge attack and going into the Corviknight, I think as well is a very nice play. Because if there's a world in which the Talonflame gets knocked out, it's going to be with energy management. But taking a look at this Corviknight is not running the standard moveset. It is not running Air Cutter Payback, it's actually Iron Head. And with Iron Head, it would be stuck throwing Air Cutters at that Talonflame.
We're going to see the first Air Cutter thrown off, and I have to imagine we see a no shield from Dr. Roast Beef, and he's going to be switching in that Talonflame as soon as possible. And as you said, now Air Cutter is the best move for Spandalicio to throw, so he's going to have to really hope that he can continue to get those attack raises as he throws Air Cutter after Air Cutter, because we're just not going to see all that much damage from these fast attacks, and we see the second one go through, and oh no! A full Incinerate goes through, and Dr. Roast Beef needs to shield up this Air Cutter. It is now, I believe, 2 times boosted.
Oh, that is unfortunate. There is the Flame Charge. Immediate switch into the Marowak. Marowak going to put up the shield, as Marowak does have quite a bit of loaded energy, and that's going to be very good for Spandalicio. Spandalicio farming up a lot of energy. The bait, but honestly, is it even really a bait if you've already taken this much damage on the Talonflame?
I think we're going to need to see Dr. Roast Beef switch immediately into the Lapras to catch this next Bone Club. Actually, Rock Slide is loaded, but going for an additional Mud Slap here, totally safe because there's a shield on Spandalicio's side, and there is now very little energy for Dr. Roast Beef.
Oh, he waited to try and get the catch, but he waited 4 turns instead of 3, and the catch does not go through. Bone Club takes the knockout, and that is unfortunate for Dr. Roast Beef as Marowak mud slaps down and takes the win.
was a really great attempt there. Unfortunately, it's so hard to judge the number of turns that have passed. Sure, you might be able to count seconds, but can you count half seconds? It's so fast-paced, and for 3 of them to go by, that's 1.5 seconds. Doing a little bit of quick maths, it's so difficult. You know, 3 times 0.5 is 1.5, but I really... That mid-game was really interesting, right? We saw that the moveset on the Corviknight was not the typical moveset. However, because the attack boosts were happening, it really...
Hello, hello. I just got a battle royale. Yes, yes.
Right? Once it's twice boosted, it's gonna really start to add up in terms of the amount of damage it can do to a Pokemon like Shadow Talonflame.
With this interesting Corviknight moveset, we can now a little bit reevaluate some of these matchups, whereas a Pokemon like Guzzlord will feel substantially less safe. Typically, Guzzlord can win the Zero Protect Shield against Corviknight unless Corviknight gets an Air Cutter boost. But if you have Iron Head, suddenly that matchup feels very different. Whereas something like a Dusknoir, to me, Dusknoir, there's one less Pokemon that it has to worry about, but still with the threat of the Furret and the Wigglytuff, which neither was brought. But currently they're doing a really good job of scaring away that Dusknoir from ever seeing the field.
And I really wish, I really liked your call out, right? The Clodsire as a pairing with the Talonflame looks really good. And I wanted to, before the first game started, I wanted to add that if you're bringing Talonflame and Clodsire, what's a really great third Pokemon you can bring to that team?
Ooh, you're stumping me here, Phoebe. Probably that Guzzlord.
Yeah, because both of those first Pokemon cover the Wigglytuff so well. I feel like Spandalicio just can't bring Wigglytuff into a team that is likely always bringing Talonflame and could additionally cover for a Wigglytuff with bringing Clodsire as well. So although on paper Guzzlord doesn't look all that safe, I think it's a really strong Pokemon into the rest of Spandalicio's team. Let's see, in game number 2 here, a solid lead for Dr. Roastbeef. It's that Lapras into a Shadow Kanto Marowak.
Immediate safe switch into Credilli, and there's not a strong answer available on the line of 3. Lapras will be able to outpace and get to the Ice Beam. Normally that'd be a charge attack priority time, but due to the one-turn switch, Lapras has the upper hand. Lapras Ice Beam grabs an early shield. Now Dr. Roastbeef will choose to send in the Guzzlord. A shield advantage for Shadow Talonflame could be very helpful in the endgame, but Guzzlord is going to get really debuffed here by the Squirtilli.
These Rock Tombs don't really threaten it has such a large HP pool, it can easily take the first one, throw off a Brutal Swing, and could theoretically even no-shield a second Brutal Swing. Now one stage speed buffed will not threaten all that much damage into the Credilli. However, he could set up a farm down later after this matchup ends, and as we have mentioned time and time again, Talonflame with energy advantage is going to be really good for Dr. Roastbeef.
Can Guzzlord hang on? No, it cannot. Guzzlord does get farmed down, but the Shadow Talonflame up a shield could still be very difficult to deal with. In comes the Lapras. Lapras will get outpaced, but do you save all shields for Talonflame? Is this what you trust in? Dr. Roastbeef, he's thinking about it, and he does. He no-shields the Rock Tomb, and it's time. Shadow Talonflame hits the field.
And it's going to be, I think, 6 acids to the Rock Tomb. This is the 3rd Rock Tomb being thrown. Unfortunately for Dr. Roastbeef, that means his attack will be dropped. However, very shortly afterwards, he's going to be able to raise that back up with those flame charges. One fast attack is great timing into the Mud Slapper, allowing 2 Mud Slaps through. Flame Charge going to boost up the attack back into the standard attack for the Shadow Talonflame. Ooh, that's a lot of damage, but I'm not sure if it's quite enough to get to a fast attack down.
I love this sequence. After the first Flame Charge, you want to go for the Fly. This will allow Dr. Roastbeef to make the second Fly in only 2 more Incinerates. So this Incinerate damage back to normal. There's the Rock Slide is reached. Tough call to make as Roastbeef. There's back-to-back Bone Clubs loaded. Roastbeef puts up the shield. A Bone Club could be reached. If he decides to stay in, he stays in. The Bone Club is there, and unfortunately, that's going to be bad news for Talonflame. This is single resisted, but the Shadow Talonflame, it's too low. It's getting knocked out, and now Furret will be able to clean up the Lapras in the back.
It's another potential instance where, had he thrown a second Flame Charge, maybe he would have been able to pick up the knockout with an the additional damage onto his Incinerates. We see the Swift pick up the knockout, and that is going to be 2-0 for Spandalicio over Dr. Roastbeef. Goes to show, Shadow Talonflame is a really good Pokemon, but it's also really tough to use.
It is a very technical Pokemon there, because if you do decide to go for the double flame charge, then you need 3 Incinerates to get to the next move, and that allows Furret to outpace. So it is a very... there's a lot of forward thought needed when using this Pokemon, because do you end up surrendering your pacing in exchange for a little bit of immediate Incinerate damage? So I think maybe if the move had been banked and there was a switch into the Lapras and 3 Psy-Waves, maybe if that had been enough to knock out and the Charge Attack was still loaded on the Talonflame, maybe there was a chance. But unfortunately, trying to go for the Incinerate down, and that Marowak proving that it can still do pretty okay into the Talonflame. A lot of trainers opting for Gastrodon as it does have that Incinerate resist, but Marowak still putting up a pretty nice fight.
Yeah, and I think the opening that happens for Spandalicio is if you see a secondary Flame Charge, you know, okay, it's better for me at this point to switch out of that Kanto Marowak, whereas we saw in the game as it played out, he stayed in because he knew that he could survive. He could get that additional Bone Club off at 1 HP, and that was the deciding factor here. Whereas if another Flame Charge occurs, maybe he then just immediately pivots into this Furret. Dr. Roastbeef does have a catch potential in that scenario, right? Because it's 5 quick attack, or 5 Sucker Punches, not quick attacks, into the Swift. So there's that option there, but it leaves other openings, right? If he gets an Overfarm, you could potentially go for a Charge Attack tie, and if you don't make it to a Charge Attack on the Lapras, then even though you lose that Charge Attack tie, you don't get the move off, because if you're taking chip damage from the Lapras and the Brave Bird, or excuse me, Flyer Flame Charge, it's just enough damage to pick up the knockout.
A very technical endgame on a day that's had a lot of very technical endgames. Like, the level of play has been very high so far in Milwaukee. Games decided by the narrowest of margins we have seen. Charge attack priority, sack swaps, catching moves, winning charge attack priority. Like, we've had some unbelievable plays. We've had some peekaboos on stream as well. So the level of play has been very high. And to me, I absolutely love to see it, because it shows that we have some of the absolute best here in Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee might not necessarily be super centralized in terms of its geographical location, but these trainers are definitely showing it is central to the Pokemon Go scene. People are showing up here, doing their best, showing how strong regional this is and how difficult it's going to be just to even make day 2 here.
And we have our next match ready on the stage. Abhinav versus Valor Ash. 2 veterans of the game, Valor Ash. When you think of Valor Ash, you think of one Pokemon, and that is Talonflame. Valor Ash, where he goes, Talonflame goes. And if I had to pick a second signature Pokemon, it'd probably be that Greninja. Greninja, like a tall drink of water, can output water damage like crazy. Hydro Cannons every 9 turns. Night Slash, if you throw the first Night Slash, you can get the second one in only 6 turns. Incredibly fast pacing, and it looks like across Abhinav's team, importantly, I'm not seeing a water resistance.
There's not a water resistance, but there is the option for fighting fast attack damage in that Pangoro. And if you have a squishy Pokemon against a squishy Pokemon, those fast attacks really start adding up. I do want to put out a quiz for those in chat. There is one additional Pokemon that Valor Ash is known for, and it was actually before the Pokemon Go Championship Series. If you know it, put it in chat. I will reveal it later after this matchup plays out. We'll see how many old heads there are here. I unfortunately am showing my age. You know, I've got some grays. Professor Willow's got that nice gray flow going on, but yeah, we'll see how many people do know the Pokemon that I'm talking about. I'll give a hint. He brought it to a grassroots regional tournament, and it was his signature Pokemon there.
Ooh, very cool trivia, cutting deep. So for people who have been battling for many, many years, taking a look back at these teams, the Pokemon that I think could be a standout is Fearow. Fearow, we talked about. Outside of Corviknight, there isn't really a lot that walls his coverage. Flying plus ground is exceedingly good coverage. And into Valor Ash's team, Valor Ash has a lot of targets where specifically that ground damage could be very valuable. There's the Tinkaton, there's the Clodsire, and with that pacing, every 10 turns to a Drill Peck. it could be a little bit of a problem for Valorash's team.
And another thing for the Tinkaton matchup, because you're a normal and flying type, you're not taking super effective damage from those fairy winds, unlike something like a Murkrow or a Galarian, almost said Galarian Corsola, Galarian Moltres, right? So that's another reason why I think Pharaoh's just like such an interesting Pokemon in the meta. We'll have to see how it pairs up against Talonflame. And one thing to call out is that it's not a Shadow Talonflame on the side of Valarash, it's just a standard Talonflame. So if we have a chance to interview him, I'd be really curious as to why he's opted for Talonflame over Shadow Talonflame, given the potency of shadow damage coming from one of the hardest hitting Pokemon in the field.
One answer might lie potentially in the moveset choice, as this Talonflame is opted for Fly Brave Bird. A lot of the Shadow Talonflames really like to ramp up their damage with Flame Charge, but with Brave Bird, you have a little bit of extra survivability with the regular Talonflame, but you still have, if shields get down, Brave Bird is going to do big damage, as I don't believe there's also a flying resist on Abanov's team either.
That is one of the most dangerous things about these flying type Pokemon, is that frequently teams do not have a flying resist, but here we go. Game number one, Abanov on the left, Valarash on the right. It is Cradily into Tinkaton, and I'm going to be real, this is a grass and rock type into a steel type Pokemon, but the matchup is actually not that bad for the Cradily if you play out the 1 shield to 0 shield matchup.
An interesting charge type priority tie. We have seen some trainers in the past who will opt to save the Cradily energy, as Tinkaton is highly motivated to throw instantly and then look to pivot out and save that energy. We'll see that Abanov has a different idea. Instead, going to lock in a debuff onto this Tinkaton, and there is the switch. Out comes Fearow.
Fearow is not really threatened by Bulldoze, so Play Rough will need to be the move that is thrown in. Abanov actually over-farming here, allowing this Play Rough to come through. It's going to do a good amount of neutral damage, but because of the debuff, it's going to be doing just a little bit less.
Out comes Cradily, and it's actually our first Bullet Seed Cradily sighting of the day. I was a little bit surprised to not see the Cradily answer instantly, but now we know why. Because on Bullet Seed, you have significantly better matchups into the ground types like the Gastrodons of the world, but this is where the limitations of Bullet Seed are on display. Against those flyers, Cradily suddenly feels dramatically more vulnerable.
Rock Tomb coming through, going to debuff the attack of the Fearow if it decides to shield. Abanov does put up the shield last second here. I think he was debating it a little bit, given that he is quite low on health. Rock Tomb now being unable to be thrown by Valarash, as there is great timing from Abanov. He has 2 charge attacks loaded up, so no shield from Valarash makes a lot of sense.
And it does take the knockout. Unfortunate for Valarash. He was hoping to survive, but Cradily was not able to hang on even with the debuff applied. And now what is the best way to get rid of the Fearow? If you bring in Tinkaton, there's a drill run in Tinkaton's future.
This is going to do a lot of super effective damage, given that it is being no shield going through, barely not able to pick up the knockout. A quick pivot from both trainers, and it is a Galarian Corsola mirror match. It's going to come down to who wins the charge attack that tie, except because Valarash had to switch out manually, he's 1 turn behind, and therefore is going to be 1 fast attack behind in this matchup.
That's really nice awareness from Abanov, recognizing that Valarash snuck a Fairy Wind, therefore not able to queue up that switch. And good information for next game for Abanov. Abanov winning charge type priority in this mirror, and for Valarash being that turn behind, which is actually by design, because the Fairy Wind snuck through. Until that damage registers, you cannot switch out. So that is the big difference, where if it was a charge type priority tie, you can queue a switch instantly because all damage is registered, but with the Fairy Wind sneaking, that damage needing to register means that you cannot queue up a 0-turn switch and instead have to manually press it, which does mean it's 1. So great awareness by Abanov, recognizing, oh, I need to send in the Corsola because if it's Corsola in the back, I will be ahead by a turn.
And we saw the Pokemon that Valarash brought were none of his favorites. We did not see the Greninja, we did not see the Talonflame, so we'll have to see if he decides to switch things up. Of course, his Cradily is going to be in a slightly disadvantageous spot, given it is Bullet Seed into, I think, the general meta as well, besides that Gastrodon. But maybe if Valarash is expecting that Gastrodon to come in this game number 2, he decides to continue to bring his Bullet Seed Cradily.
that Bullet Seed Credilli, it's definitely a big risk because against that Firo, we really felt the limitations of that fast move. Whereas normally, anytime you see Firo, like, oh great, I can just bring in my Credilli and my assets are basically just gonna farm it all down. But with the Bullet Seed, you're unable to do that. So it really makes this matchup uniquely challenging for Valor Ash. And Valor Ash is on loser side of the bracket, but he knows he's not out yet. All he needs is to win this game number 2 to force the decisive game number 3 to keep his tournament hopes alive.
And I think he's going to have to find a way to deal with that Firo. It was so oppressive in that first game, able to really dominate the matchup into the Credilli, as well as put a lot of pressure on to that Tinkaton, right? It nearly knocked out with that drill run. It was, I think, 1 HP or 1 fast attack away from being knocked out. Game number 2, it is going to be a Clodsire into Galarian Corsola.
Galarian Corsola and Clodsire, both exceedingly bulky Pokemon. Neither one particularly fast to get the charge attacks, but honestly, with their bulk, they don't need to be. Abhinav massively over farming, and in doing so, this will actually force Valor Ash to get cycle reset. So Valor Ash is forced to go over 100 energy or throw on alignment. Valor Ash will choose to go over 100 energy, but because you cannot exceed that cap, some of that potential energy generation is lost. So good awareness by Abhinav being able to punish the fact that Valor Ash should overfarm to that degree.
We see a quick swap into Greninja, which does pull out the Acid Credilli. Will we see a Hydro Cannon or Night Slash? No, opting not to try to fish for the boost. Greninja doesn't really quite look like a fish. Hydro Cannon coming through, doing about half the remaining health of the Credilli. We'll have to see. Oh, actually, Abhinav going for an overfarm here. Now going to need to put up a shield given how fast this Greninja paces to its charge attacks.
Greninja able to grab the shield. Abhinav farming up, going for a Rock Tomb. This is only neutral damage, but this is a Greninja. It's very frail. A Rock Tomb could set up a farm down. The no shield happens. Oh, it doesn't even set up the farm down. It just knocks out Greninja. So glassy, but importantly, that generated the shield advantage that the Credilli might need to be able to deal with that Firo in the back.
At the slightly faster pacing that Bullet Seed has will be a little bit nice for Valor Ash, given that a singular Rock Tomb will do so much damage to the very fragile Firo. However, really interesting, Abhinav going in with the Firo as opposed to that Corsola, now switching in a slightly weird position and gives a full Bullet Seed. He didn't really have much of an option there, but because of the way all that timing worked, had he thrown maybe a different number of pecks, he might have not let as much energy go to Valor Ash for free there.
The Grass Knot knocking out would be massive for Valor Ash. Valor Ash desperately does not want Abhinav to get to one final charge attack. Abhinav hangs on. Can he get there?
Oh.
No. Bullet Seed for the first time doing fast move damage. It gets that farm down, and now Valor Ash has the ability to apply debuff after debuff to this Firo.
Rock Tomb coming through. There is a lot of energy on the Firo. It is now at 2 Drill Pecks. However, we see Abhinav opting not to throw, given there is still so much health and a good amount of energy on that Clodsire. Although the Clodsire does not have a rock-type move, there are 2 shields on the side for Valor Ash. So even if those charge attacks were thrown, there is just no way that Abhinav could have won that game after losing shield advantage, bringing a grass type into a water type.
I loved the game plan from Valor Ash in game number 2. Sometimes you just gotta roll with your favorites, Feed. Safe switching that Greninja, being able to bait out the Credilli, but a very pivotal moment of that match was throwing the second Hydro Cannon on alignment to ensure the shield advantage, because the shield advantage is the big difference maker. When Firo had the energy head start against that Bullet Seed Credilli, it just got absolutely shredded. But if you're able to get the shield advantage, then suddenly Credilli up a shield and up energy, suddenly it feels like a whole new matchup.
And I think that was really crucial there, as we just saw the Sludge Bomb able to knock out the Credilli. Abhinav shaking his head, really hoping he could survive that hit. And here we see the pivot and the full Bullet Seed going through there, and barely Grass Knot getting a lot of damage in and barely picking up the knockout with the additional damage of that Bullet Seed.
And back in came the Firo. Firo, all the energy in the world, but it's not enough. The Rock Tomb is reached. Firo gets knocked out, and Valor Ash in what is a very tricky matchup He did what he had to do, which is win game 2. But now, the hard part, got to do it again.
And Valor bringing that Greninja, maybe Abhinav is thinking about bringing his Pangoro a little bit. It's a little tough to bring when you have a Pokemon like Talonflame or a Pokemon like Clodsire on the other side that resist those hard-hitting close combats that you can throw, that you want to throw in order to pick up knockouts before you pivot out into a different Pokemon. Fearow, I think, is going to remain a staple, however, given how good it is against the basically all of Valorash's team.
I really love the coverage that it provides. We have seen a few Pokemon in the past have this flying ground coverage, and even though Fearow doesn't necessarily have the stats of something like a Galarian Corsola, if you have good coverage, good pacing, and even if you don't take damage well, you gotta at least hit hard, and Fearow does that. Fearow outputs a lot of damage very quickly, but we don't have to wait any longer. Game number 3, we have lock-ins. It's Clodsire into the Shadow Scizor for Abhinav.
And a little bit uncomfortably for Valorash here, he does not have access to Stone Edge, so he's going to be pivoting out into the Credilli here and is going to throw on... I'm not 100% sure if that's good timing. I always have a hard time of discerning when it is after 2 swaps. Hydro Cannon coming through, going to not pull the shield. Will we see Abhinav throw immediately? Yes. 2 acids so that he does not have to give up shield advantage to maintain switch advantage again after the safe swap of Greninja.
That's a nice adjustment from Abhinav, but now Valor-Ash can look to throw 3 Water Shurikens, double up on the Hydro Cannons, and this is where a lack of a water resist can be very, very tricky. If Abhinav shields, he has to double shield, so he's just gonna let it go. Hydro Cannon, debuff or not, that's still knocking out. And now what wants to take the Hydro Cannons from Greninja?
Nothing. Nothing wants to take the Hydro Cannons from Greninja, but in comes the Fearow, going for what will likely be an easier fast attack down. I like this. Going for the Night Slash a little bit cheaper, but Abhinav no shielding. What an incredible call.
Nice call there. Greninja getting another Night Slash, guaranteeing that he will be able to force this shield. But Valor-Ash bringing the signature Pokemon Talonflame and Greninja. He's got to be feeling it because he can now bring the Clodsire into the Fearow, and it's Talonflame into the Scizor in the back. Burn, baby, burn! Talonflame hits the field, Scizor gets farmed down, and Valor-Ash in prime form here in Milwaukee.
Incinerate number 1, Incinerate number 2, Incinerate number red, Incinerate number blue. We see the Incinerate down of that Shadow Scizor, bye-bye, and in comes the Fearow, and the damage that you see from the Incinerates into the Fearow is so much, like you said, it almost looks like it's super effective.
Fly does get the shield, but Abhinav has lost so much health. He does not even get the farm down as Valor-Ash is able to make one final fly. But even if he did, he was in one Poison Sting range, and there's still a full health Clodsire. That was not getting knocked out by a Drill Run. And Valor-Ash, a very difficult matchup, but he brought Greninja 2 times, and Greninja won both times.
He brought Talonflame 1 time, and Talonflame won the 1 time it was brought. I think we very frequently joke about, bringing your favorite Pokemon to these tournaments. And, you want to bring Pokemon that are both good and your favorites if you're lucky enough to have a favorite that's good in the game that you play. And you just get to see the power of these Pokemon that are fast-paced, hard-hitting. Those are the reasons, I think, why Valor-Ash loves Greninja, loves Talonflame, and his past signature pick. I'll go ahead and do the grand reveal now. It was Haunter. Haunter was his pick all the way back, probably like 7 years ago now. Man, it's been a long time.
Interesting. One adjustment that I really liked out of Valor-Ash was in that game number 2. That game felt like it got a little bit out of hand when Greninja was able to take advantage of an over-farming Credilli to force a shield advantage. In game 3, Abhinav realized that's why I lost game 2. So I'm going to throw the Rock Tomb instantly, but Valor-Ash said, I just got 2 free turns on Greninja. I'm just gonna shield and double up on Hydro Cannons, and then that energy went everywhere. And Scizor can't take the Hydro Cannons, so he was forced to send out the Fearow, and that just set up Scizor to unfortunately just get incinerated down. The Talonflame, Shadow or not, those Incinerates are terrifying.
Sometimes all that matters is switch advantage, especially if you're running into a Pokemon like Shadow Scizor, as well as running yourself that Shadow Talonflame. the usage of these Pokemon is all over depending on where we've been in the meta and where we're going in the meta. But I think yesterday Caleb had an opportunity to ask some of the trainers here at the venue about usage stats. Let's see how that quiz went.
Welcome back to another special pop quiz with Professor Pang. I'm here with one of our top competitors, Rise to the Occasion. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Great to be in the best city in America, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
All right, yeah, you were actually the first champion of Milwaukee as well for Pokemon Go, too. So I'm sure a lot of special memories here for you. Now, this quiz is about how well does Rise to Occasion know Rise to Occasion. Now, last season, you played in a total of 10 tournaments, and you used a total of 31 unique Pokemon. Now, my quiz for you today is, can you name the top 8 most used Pokemon you used last season in the tournaments combined? Now, you will have 3 strikes as well. So if you get 2 wrong, that's okay, but you can't get 3 wrong. And if you get any of them right, obviously, you can keep going forward. Are you ready?
I guess so. This is tough. Wait, I have a clarifying question. Is Shadow, non-Shadow the same Pokemon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get started. Let's go with your first guess.
Primeape.
Primeape is correct. Primeape was actually tied for your second most used Pokemon and at 4 in total. So get a little Primeape up on the board.
I kind of fell in love with Primeape at the end. I used them in like 4 straight tournaments. I'm going to guess Azumarill.
Azumarill is correct as well, tied with Primeape at 4 total usage. So you are still perfect right now. No mistakes made. Let's see it right there.
I'll guess Lapras.
Lapras is not on your top 8, so 1 strike.
Okay. Drapion.
Drapion is actually, and number 1 in usage, 6 total tournaments using Drapion. Number 1 right there.
Great safe swap. I felt like you can't go on with Drapion. What else? How about... I'm already struggling, man. How about Dusclops?
Dusclops is not on the board. All right, 2 strikes. Got 1 more lifeline here. 1 strike in, 1 more strike and you're out. What's your next guess?
I need to lock in. Where did we start? We started... Okay.
I'll give you a hint. There's another water Pokemon on your top 8.
Feraligatr.
That's correct. Feraligatr is there. It is also tied for number 2 in your usage. So we do have ourselves Feraligatr 4 times, 4 tournaments.
Okay. I remember, this isn't my guess. I remember like I used Ariados a little bit early, but I don't think I used it enough. Like Diggersby's another one I used early, but I don't know if he's on there. This is tough, guys. I do mix it up. So for people that say don't spice it up, I mix it up a lot. I'm gonna go with Stunfisk.
Stunfisk is not on the board, unfortunately. But you were close. Diggersby is on there. Diggersby is also tied for number 2 in usage at 4 in total. And then your other ones was tied for 3 in total. It was actually Talonflame was there. We had Jumpluff as well, your grass of choice.
Marto, I'm sorry.
And then the last one was actually Tinkaton. But unfortunately, we have a slight graphical error, so we're going to use a Bastion to represent the steel. But it was indeed Tinkaton.
Okay. Jumpluff and Tinkaton I probably should have got. Talonflame was a tricky one because I think I used it for like my first 3 tournaments and then I never used it again. So I totally forgot about Talonflame.
And one fun fact while I was researching this is you indeed actually did not use Credilli once at all in the 2025 season, which is pretty impressive because it's a pretty prominent grass type in multiple metas. But speaking of grass types and metas, what is your spice of Milwaukee for this tournament this weekend?
So this weekend I'm actually bringing Shadow Dragonair as a relatively spicy pick. I think it's it can be really spammy to those Aqua Tails, and it can kind of catch people off guard in terms of their counts and stuff. So we'll see how it performs.
All right, and you know, it doesn't have wrap.
I'm actually going with Dragon Pulse.
Oh, that's some spice right there. All right, well, let's get back to the Milwaukee action.
of nights when starlight is bright. It's said that when the star shines in the night sky, the Pokemon will spirit away sleeping children. Some call it the Witch of Punishment. It is unknown just what link Gothorita has to the greater universe.
All right, you got it.
Welcome back to the Milwaukee Regional Championship 2026. I'm joined here with Caleb Ping. I'm Heather. And we are hopping into our Group F finals on the loser side. So we're going to be seeing a match between Leo Geo and Stud Muffins. And one of these trainers will be making it to day 2, and one of them will be going home.
Yeah, we only have 3 more series left to close out day number 1. I'm really excited to see these. I believe they're all on the loser side as well, so a lot on the line for all remaining 6 trainers. Leo Geo, kind of a seasoned veteran in grassroots as well as some of the circuit. Been playing since 2022 in the official circuit, but doesn't play in nearly as many tournaments, but always one of the strong competitors, especially in the Midwest region. Meanwhile, Stud Muffins didn't really play a lot in the first few years, but really made a splash on the scene last season as well. So 2 top-tier battlers here to close out Group F in this losers finals. And the teams are fairly similar. We do have a Charger Bug, though, on the side of Leo Geo, and that's going to play really favorably for him if he can get it onto the Corviknight, the Pangoro, or the Blastoise. And it's got a lot of play into the Credilli and the Corsa as well. You just have to avoid the Clodsire.
Yeah, if it ends up on that Clodsire, that would be dire for Leo Geo. But it does have a lot of neutral play or, super effective play into the rest of the team on Stud Muffin's side. So definitely an option for him to choose. We got our match. We're locked in. We've got Furret into the Clodsire. This is going to be a favorable matchup for Clodsire, but Furret can put in a lot of work here if it decides to start boosting and shielding. It does have that Trailblaze, which would be neutral, but it can, he just swaps out, tries to catch a move on the Corviknight, no catch. And some of it comes in with the Blastoise as an answer.
Yeah, this is kind of tricky for Leo Geo because his best answer to that Clodsire is this Corviknight, and now that he's swapped into it, couldn't catch a move, but also the Clodsire has a ton of energy left in the back, and on top of it, Stud Muffins avoiding the disastrous Blastoise versus Furret matchup, getting a lot of usage here in this Corviknight matchup. Very good for Stud Muffins in the early parts of this game.
Yeah, and that Clodsire energy is going to go very far because we can see Leo Geo has his own Clodsire in the back. So the Clodsire energy is going to go everywhere.
Yeah, and Stud Muffins knowing confidently that he can hang on and get this Hydro Cannon off against the Corviknight. Do we see a shield from Leo Geo? It's a real question. I don't think it makes sense, and he agrees as well because, in comes the Clodsire again, but there's so much energy on the Clodsire, and now in a tough position is Leo Geo because he doesn't have a clear answer for his Clodsire. You don't really want to come in the mirror matchup, so he might start spending all the shields on the Furret to try to get rid of this thing.
Right, he has to bring the Furret in here because he can't bring it into his own Clodsire down that much energy. So we're back into the first matchup that we saw initially.
Yeah, and the pacing here on the Clodsire is going to be a lot slower than the Furret. Furret going straight swift now at this point in time too. Stud Muffins knows it's not enough to KO and chooses not to shield as well, trying to put everything on the backs of that Corviknight. I like that play because unless it's a Charge Bug in the back, you're in a good position, and there indeed is not a Charge Bug in the back. I'm actually surprised though because I feel like with this composition you would think there might be, especially given the way that this first playing it out. But in fact, it's actually going to be Clodsire. It's going to be a really good position for Stud Muffins to be in, and he's up 2 shields right now.
Yeah, this Corviknight is gonna do a lot of work here because all of these moves that Furret is throwing are resisted. Furret is boosted though. Those sucker punches are starting to chunk a little bit. He does try to go for a catch. He can't quite make that air cutter. Stud Muffins just farms down that Corviknight. And now he lost his boost on the Furret. So those sucker punches are not going to do as much damage. Stud Muffins is going for the hard-hitting payback here. It might not be quite enough to KO. So the Furret is going to get one more parting Swift. And Stud Muffins has to think, am I going to shield this? I'm getting really low. His Corviknight's now in the yellow.
Yeah, choosing not to shield actually turns out it will probably be the best decision because it's really hard to point this thing down. But look at the Swift or Sucker Punch damage adding up here. Leo Geo maybe a little stressed here, not loving what he's seen. But the thing is, there's really not a lot of health left on this Corviknight. Can he ever poison this thing down? I don't think that's the case. And also, Stud Muffins, he still has two other Pokemon in the back and 2 shields. He's going to for sure get to this Earthquake.
Yeah, he's actually choosing to shield up his Clodsire. He wants to get this Earthquake off into Leogeo's Clodsire because it's going to do so much damage. It might pick up a KO. I don't know if Clodsire is quite in range, though. He might just barely live it.
Yeah, this is still a really tough position for Leogeo to be in, and even though it's not enough to KO, the Corviknight should be able to clean up no problem, especially with the shield advantage. And honestly, you still can't poison this thing down. Your only hope is you get to it, but not going to be the case as Submuff is going to reach yet another Earthquake. I mean, even if you throw the move, it's not going to work out because he still has a shield, right? So a very strong, dominant performance from Submuffin's 3-ball flex with an extra shield to boot as well. How does Leogeo make the adjustment? Because he didn't really bring a Clodsire answer, right? His best matchup was probably somewhere between the Furret and obviously the Corviknight, but he can't really risk getting his own Clodsire into the Clodsire because that's essentially what happened in the very end there. But I'm very surprised because Clodsire is pretty strong in his team, and especially with a Charge Bug team, you would think that you're pretty strong into Clodsire as a whole, but chose not to bring the Gastrodon, opted for the Corviknight instead, and just put him in a really tough position after 2 failed catch attempts.
Yeah, so I think he might pivot to his own Corviknight after seeing Studmuffin's how much work his Corviknight put into Leogeo's team. I think that would probably be a good adjustment. He might also potentially bring the Gastrodon because Gastrodon's pretty good into Studmuffin's team as well. He doesn't want to see the Cradilly, but it's got neutral play across the board, and even if it ends up on like the Blastoise, right? It's got rollout damage is resisted, and you have to land those Hydro Cannons on the Gastrodon, and you're taking all those Mud Slaps in the process. But we are locked in for game 2, and we have Cradilly into Corsola. This is a pretty neutral matchup. We know that Cradilly can actually win the zeros here because of those debuffs. So if we start debuffing with the Rock Tombs, it does get uncomfortable for the Corsola, but then you're in range of farm down later on.
Yeah, and this is honestly exactly where Stummus wants to go. I was going to say exactly where he wants to see the Cradilly, but no, he chooses to swap out instead, going straight for the air cutter. Not a lot of damage, so Leogeo's not going to spend the shield here, but maybe just wants to get a little bit of damage before this Rock Tomb is reached. Also wants to misalign the timers here, but once you throw this Rock Tomb, you can come in with your own Corviknight, and there's just no way you lose that head-to-head matchup when the opposing Corviknight is debuffed.
Yeah, I think he potentially might have wanted to try to bait out a Charger Bug if there was one in the back, because he does have the Corviknight and the Blastoise, so maybe that's why he hard pivoted that Corviknight.
Oh, and we actually get the shield from Leogeo. Wants to save as much health on this Corviknight as possible. I don't hate the play because the Corviknight has a lot of utility into the side of Studmuffins. He can't really come back very easily with the Corsola, especially with this much energy, so maybe trying to grab the Blastoise out now, and you can align the Cradilly with it later here. And Studmuffins knows he's not going to win this matchup, and the players are swapping in and out yet again. In comes the Blastoise, but now you have a chance to get this stuck into the Cradilly because the timer's coming up soon for Leogeo.
Right, these switch timers are so misaligned, so trainers are just going in and out, and Studmuffins does shield up the payback, and he's going to get off his Hydro Cannon into the Corviknight. Does not threaten a knockout, but it is going to do a lot of neutral damage here.
Yeah, I really like that shield from Studmuffins because if you get hit by the payback, then the Cradilly can go straight Rock Tomb and debuff you. Now the Cradilly has to try to go to Grass Knot or get risky and baits with the Rock Tomb instead. So it puts Leogeo in a slightly tougher position. Lets the Hydro Cannon go. This is actually going to do a lot of damage for neutral to Cradilly. Cradilly should be able to reach a move, but if Studmuffins chooses to shield the Grass Knots, Studmuffins can roll out down. That's going to be a lot of energy for the Blastoise. It's going to go somewhere into everything, and that's exactly what Studmuffins does.
He does choose shield that up, and he will roll out down the Cradilly because Leogeo cannot quite get out. So now he's got all this energy on Blastoise. Where is he gonna go into? He goes into Corviknight, and he is in Hydro Cannon range at this point, so if he does let this go, his Corviknight will be knocked out. And he does choose to shield it up correctly.
Yeah, I really like the plays from Studmuffins here because even if, tries to go for a catch and comes in with the Corsola, I think this is Charge Attack priority, so even though it's super effective damage, you should get the Nightshade off, and that's going to be really good because you could take out this pesky Corviknight. Oh, not actually the case, but now throws the Nightshade, and it should be close to knocking out this Corviknight. Either way, I don't think it'll be able to get off another move.
Yeah, it's very close. It does get the knockout, so now he comes back in. Clodsire gets the full Poison Sting down on that Corsola.
This game is not over because Clodsire can definitely hang on here. There could be a pivotal catch that Stub Muffins makes here on the Corviknight Knight to win him the game, but he needs to swap at the exact timing here. The energy is building up though, and the switch arms aren't even up yet, and you can see he throws the Hydro Cannon, but not able to swap out in time, and the Earthquake is going to connect. This will for sure knock out the Blastoise. Does the Corviknight have enough energy? Can it get to a payback in time? It's the real question here. Oh, it's close again.
So
can he get to it?
Payback.
He gets the payback.
This is going to do a lot. I don't think it's going to quite knock out, but can he stand attack down afterward?
Yeah, that's going to be the real question. Stone Edge is going to be reached here. I think Clodsire has enough in the tank.
Away.
And
does reach the Stone Edge, and that
huge.
will KO the Corviknight.
All right,
we have
Leo
a 1-to-1 series here.
Yeah, coming in clutch in this pivotal game 2 for Leo Geo. And both these players, the final game for them here in Milwaukee, or at least for one of these players, right? And you know there's a lot on the line. The winner of this will make that phase 2 and make day number 2 here in Milwaukee. And the loser of it will be knocked out. And, you know, a lot less championship points, but also both these players, they want more than just championship points. They want a title under their belts.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about game 2 adjustments here. That was a really close game, came down to the wire.
Yeah.
So are trainers gonna run it back? Will they bring something else? I feel like they were pretty evenly matched there. There was a lot of in and out and swapping and DCing the switch timer. No one really had like hard answers on either side, which is really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of really, yeah, like you said, a lot of neutral matchups. Even like the losing matchups, right? Clodsire into Blastoise, there's a lot of play, right? So it makes the game really exciting, and it's hard to predict exactly who's going to come out on top in these situations. So, especially when they're not on even energy, even health, even shield, stuff like that. You know, the Charger Bug has so much potential, but some of us just not giving Leo Geo any breathing room, right? Bring the Clodsire, brought the Corsola as well. The Credilli, not even that bad, into the Charge Bug. So Stub Muffins just trying to make it really hard for Leo Geo to bring the Charge Bug and forcing him to play a lot of these neutral matchups out. Here we go, game number 3, Stub Muffins versus Leo Geo. Winner will make it forward, loser will be going home. And it's going to be the water versus water action. Gastrodon into Blastoise. So like you said, this matchup's not even that bad for the Gastrodon.
Yeah, so you can get off neutral body slams here. Stub Muffins is going to go straight for the Hydro Cannon. You can never roll out down, even if he lands 2 Hydro Cannons, though. So Gastrodon does have to shield at some point. He does just pivot straight into the Corviknight, though, and he's met with Stub Muffins' own Corviknight.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird situation for Stub Muffins. I thought he was going to chip and dip out, but because of this, he's probably going to lose switch advantage unless he like perfectly shields and then lands every payback himself. But maybe Stub Muffins thinking, I just don't mind losing switch advantage. It's really risky there, though, because there's a Gasher on the lead for the Clodsire in the back, and he knows there's that Gasher, right? It's not a surprise to him, so I'm surprised by this play, but let's see how he's able to dance around it.
And that Gastrodon left with so much energy, he didn't throw any of it. It's going to be devastating for that Clodsire if it lands on that.
Yeah, definitely. We see the first shield come up from Stub Muffins, but he is in a little bit of trouble here. As you can see, he is getting outpaced. Oh, in comes the combo play from the Gastrodon. This actually might be everything Stub Muffins needs. He can avoid the Gastrodon matchup, and he gets the Corviknight first Gastrodon matchup, which generally speaking is a pretty good spot to be in. But now that you wasted all the energy from the Gastrodon, the Blastoise has a much better position now against this Gastrodon.
Yeah, he's not in body slam range, so even though Gastrodon will make a body slam here, it is not going to threaten to KO. Stub Muffins can no-shield this. Or, yeah, he's going to go ahead and no-shield it. He will live this. I'm not sure if he'll get the rollout down, though, or before the Mud Slap down. He just chooses to just throw the Hydro Cannon, get rid of the Gastrodon, so he doesn't have to take any Mud Slaps anywhere else, which I think is a good plan.
Yeah, it would have been pretty close there to see if you do it, but watch us get rid of the Gastrodon, see what's in the back here. In comes the Credilli. If you get a Hydro Cannon off, that's going to be huge. He does get the Hydro Cannon off for some chip damage. That's absolutely massive for him. He still has a Clodsire in the back as well for a positive matchup. Does he hard pivot over or just let the Credilli farm down? He does hard pivot over, but now Leo Geo can even debuff and then come in with the Corviknight.
Yeah, he is going to debuff this Clodsire, which I think is the correct play. You would need 3 moves to knock it out anyway. So go ahead and debuff and then swap back into your Corviknight. Now the Stone Edges will do less damage. 2 might not even knock out the Corviknight now.
Oh, and Leo Geo going straight for the air cutter as well. Recognizing the sand attack damage could be pretty useful. Especially, oh wait, we get a shield! Shielding the air cutter as well. Maybe a miscount from Stub Muffins, but that's massive for Leo Geo. He could go for the payback now, or maybe just keep building up the air cutter. He didn't get get boosted though, so there's that. But the debuff on the Clodsire is really rough. Timers are coming up though. Maybe some of us has a chance to swap out.
Yeah, I think some of us is gonna throw this to try to get the switch timer up and then look to pivot out, so that way you can clear that debuff.
All right, Stone Edge just going to land, puts the Corviknight in the red. Can he go for a catch? Oh, he tries to go for a catch, but doesn't do it. And now this is such a tough position. He does clear the debuff, but there are no shields left remaining, and you can't just poison this thing down, this Corviknight, from this range, and there's so much health still on the Credilli in the back.
Yeah, he does need to land another Stone Edge here, but he gets to the Air Cutter first. I don't think this is quite enough to KO, but it's going to put the Clodsire so low. And like you said, the Credilli is still in the back there. At like over half health too.
Yeah, only a few sand attacks away from taking it down. He is going to shield it up, knowing that the poison stings are not going to be enough. Super effective sand attacks are going to start chewing through the health bar of this Clodsire. Only one Corviknight left, no shields as well. Wait, hold on. Gets the Air Cutter. Is there any world where he boosts here and get a payback off? I don't think so. The acid is resisted, but there's not much health left. He does get the boost, though. Can he get the payback?
Can he get the payback before he gets the rock? It's going to be a race to the finish.
Oh!
He acids down the Corviknight.
Wow, I honestly thought that was Leo Gio's game to win for so much of that game, but almost getting there. One sand attack and he might have been able to KO the Credilli. That would have been an absolute huge comeback for Stub Muffins, but Leo Gio's back, and he is making it to day number 2 here in Milwaukee, taking a 2-1 victory over Stub Muffins.
Yeah, that came down to the wire, literally. If that Corviknight had one more HP, maybe he makes the payback there, and maybe that's a different game, but that acid down was just insane.
Yeah, and really unfortunate for Stub Muffins to shield up the Air Cutter. It's easy to lose track of the energy your opponents have because, both players just swapping in and out throughout the entire matchup. And also, it's a really long day, right? And Stub Muffins been playing all day long, too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
fatigue can definitely catch up to you for any trainer in those situations. It's also sand attack, too, right? It's harder to count in those spots. But, yeah, I mean, this series is super fun to watch because I just had no idea how the players were going to play out these matchups. Some of us with a huge dominant performance in that first game, but Leo Gio making the corrections in the game, in game 2, and of course game 3 as well was heavily in his favor.
Yeah, and then hard pivoting out of the Gastrodon with all the energy was really threatening to the Clodsire in the back potentially, but then he hard pivoted back in the same Gastrodon to snipe later on and get the water pulse off on the Corviknight.
Yep.
It was so back and forth. We didn't know how that was going to end, and those are the most fun matches to watch, honestly.
Right, and both players just choosing to go as neutral as possible in a lot of these matchups, which is what really makes Pokemon Go PvP really exciting. So big congrats to Leo Gio. He will be moving forward in day number 2 here in Milwaukee, and I mean, some of us unfortunately will be going home, but we'll be leaving with some championship points and experience under his belt, and definitely not the last one we'll see him this season.
Definitely, yeah. You can count on Stub Muffins to be back on stream at some point, I'm sure.
Definitely. Well, we only have 2 more series left here. It's going to be Tomahawk UK versus Snots in this losers finals. I don't know the actual participation numbers and players, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tomahawk's the only player from EU competing here in Milwaukee, and he's had a fantastic season last season, competing in a number of North America tournaments. And I think he made top cut in almost every one of them, so definitely no stranger to competing in NA despite being an EU player.
Yeah, so we're going to check out this season, Tales of Transformation, real quick. So we've got some events coming up, and we've got the Halloween events. Those are always fun.
Yeah.
Looks like we've got some new costume Pokemon, including Teddy Ursa and Noibat.
Yeah, definitely. These are pretty cute, and I believe they could probably be shiny as well. And we get the debut of Poltergeist and Sinistra. So for the matcha lovers here, or the ghost lovers, this is your Pokemon for it, and it's 50 candies to evolve the Poltergeist. And Halloween, honestly, is one of my favorite times of year for Pokemon Go. So many cool events, and so many ghosts and spooky Pokemon too. And a great time to gather resources for these ghost Pokemon that are so meta relevant in this meta right now. And a lot of them requiring XL candies as well, like the Sableye, Phantom, Shadow Phantom, and Shadow
Yamask the debut of 2 new Shadow Pokemon, Yamask and Phantom, which if you're into PvP, which most of us are here, you definitely want to get those and hoard them in case those become meta viable later on.
Yeah, and Trevenant was honestly the grass powerhouse back in the early days of the competitive series. Trevenant on so many teams. Now a little bit edged out from that Credilli, but it still could be really good. And it'll take a couple trainers, but I'm sure some people will make it quite work in this current meta. So we'll see how that goes. Cofagrigus is also a pretty tough one to use in this current meta, but there's been a few Cofagrigus making top cuts in the past, and I don't know, maybe the Shadow variant will close the gap on its usage.
Yeah, I think Trevenant could be really interesting. There might be some Shadow Claw breakpoints with that extra shadow damage, so that'll be interesting to look into for sure.
Yeah, if you're a Murkrow lover, you're gonna really like that matchup though. But hey, you never know. The Shadow Ball might still hit the Murkrow quite hard.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at our next match. So we've got Tomahawk versus Snots. Let's take a look at these two teams. So Tomahawk running the Azumarill Golisopod. We haven't seen much Golisopod today, so that's an interesting pick. He's also got Furret, and he's got Shadow Steelix, which we did make a prediction that Shadow Steelix would be used today. So that's cool to see. He's also got the Shadow Annihilate, the Cradilly, and then Snot's team, we've got Altaria, we've got Lapras, Shadow Scizor, Ufisk, Novin Sunfisk, and Wigglytuff and Dusclops.
Yeah, this is super interesting because it's 12 unique Pokemon, 6 different Pokemon on each side, and Snot's team definitely a little bit anti-meta. We don't see a lot of Altaria, but Snot's making it really good, especially the bulky Dragon type, one of the bulkiest Dragon types in Great League as well, despite maybe not being as fast or pacing as something like a Goodra, finding a lot of utility. I saw, his matchup first Battle Bill earlier and just playing it really, really well. Meanwhile, Tomahawk UK looks like he's playing in the meta of old times. That looks like a team you would see last season, maybe last competitive season as well in 2025, but he's making it work. I mean, honestly, it sounds wild to say, but Azumarill is spicy in this meta. I think this is the only Azumarill I've seen in the entire tournament so far on the broadcast, and honestly probably one of only a couple of players that have brought it. A lot of our top players have opted to not go with Azumarill, but Tomahawk, no stranger to running some spice himself, and for once, Azumarill is spice.
Yeah, a lot of people are preferring other fairy types. We've seen a lot of Wigglytuff today and also Tinkaton, or we've seen a lot of teams that don't even have a fairy type at all, which was unheard of a few seasons ago. Everyone would be wearing a fairy type no matter what.
Yeah, that's right. And, looking at Tomahawk's matchup against Snots, I know he struggled a lot against Dray Flames' Shadow Scizor, and Snots does have that Shadow Scizor on his team as well. So let's see how Tomahawk UK is going to be able to adjust here in this matchup. And the nice thing with Altaria is that the faster pacing with the Dragon Breath really makes the Sky Tech just come online much faster in these situations. Even though Dragon Breath does a little bit less damage, like in the Zero matchup, you weren't doing any damage to Dragon Breath to begin with, so it's only an upside for that Altaria. Let's see how this matchup goes. Losers finals of Group G, Tomahawk UK versus Snots. It's going to be the Shadow Annihilate versus the shiny Altaria on the side of Snots.
Yeah, so we got Ape to Altaria, and Altaria is definitely favored in this matchup. However, Annihilate can punch back with those ice punches. They will be double super effective and do massive amounts of damage.
Yeah,
however, Snots will outpace to this Sky Attack first.
Yeah, and the tough part here for Tomahawk is even if you bait with the Rage Fist, the pacing on this Altaria is quite quick here too, so you're going to have to bait perfectly. Snots is going to throw up the first protective shield for the potential double super after the Ice Punch. He really wants to avoid this Shadow Annihilate onto his backline. It's going to be in a really tough spot. Oh, Tomahawk UK going for another bait, and we get another shield from Snots. Both shields already stripped from his side.
Yeah, I think if he goes for the double bait, I think he can get to that Ice Punch before the next Sky Attack is loaded, but it does provide Snots an opportunity to catch that Ice Punch on something else.
And looked like Tomahawk UK was trying to catch on the Steelix, but not able to, as Snots was throwing in the middle of, oh wait, hold on, he doesn't even throw the move, letting Snots just take out the Annihilate, even though he had plenty of energy for both moves.
I think he was predicting that Snots was going to try to catch that, so he just kept punching to see what was going to come in, and then Snots just did not pivot at all.
Yeah, Snots just saying, you know what, if you're going to stay in, I'm going to stay in as well. In comes the Furret. This is really good for Snots now. He's going to be able to get a lot of damage here as Tomahawk UK. He is going to throw a move this time around, going to get the Swift off against the Altaria. Now, the Furret is pretty strong into the backline of Snots, but he doesn't know there's still access. Let's see what he comes in. When he comes in the Lapras, this is huge for Snots because then he could get the Stumpus on the ground seal type of the Steelix. That's going to be massive, super effective. Trailblaze is going to connect first.
Yeah, this Trailblaze will not even come close to knocking out this Lapras as it's non-stabbed. It's going to do about half the remaining health. But he will get to that Sparkling Arias and overfarm as much as he can here before it gets to the next Swift. This Aria will not quite knock out this Furt though.
Yeah.
It will live and be able to get to a next move. So interesting to see if he does pivots and catches the Swift onto the Stunfisk.
This is huge for Snots as well because he got a Thundershock through, which means he outpaces the Furt to the next move. And in comes the Shadow Steelix, but you do not. Oh, wait, he has Earthquake. There might be a chance here for Tomahawk UK to take out this Stunfisk. However, the timers are coming up soon. First Mud Bomb's going to come through. Second Mud Bomb is ready as well. Can the Shadow Steelix hang on and get this Earthquake off?
He will live 2 Mud Bombs. He's still in the green and cannot Thundershock this Steelix down. I think he will definitely make this Earthquake.
Yeah, Shadow Earthquake from Shadow Steelix is going to do a lot of damage. Switch timers are not up yet.
Yeah, he cannot catch on his Lapras quite yet. Tomahawk does throw the move. This will land. I believe this will be enough to get the knockout. Stunfisk is very bulky, but this is a Shadow Earthquake.
Yeah, it does. One-shot KO here, but the Sparkling Arias reach, trying to go for the catch, but not able to do it. Snots denying 3 catch attempts already from Tomahawk UK, throwing in between the Fastex. Expert precision mechanics from Snots here. It's going to be a side wave versus a Sucker Punch down, and the Sucker Punch takes precedence here as Tomahawk UK takes game number 1 over Snots.
Wow, that was such a close end game. The Sucker Punches just barely out-damaged those side waves, but it could have been anyone's game there.
Yeah, wow, that was super close. I really didn't know how it was going to go, but really great plays from Snots to deny so many catch attempts. And even though the Annihilate not taking out the Altaria, Tomahawk still able to find the victory there. And the Earthquake Shadow Steelix, most people run the Crunch in Psychic Fangs combination, but the Earthquake is absolutely clutch for him in that endgame matchup against the Stunfisk, which all things considered should win that matchup. But in that case, not quite going to be enough with that Earthquake on the side of Tomahawk.
Yeah, let's talk about that initial prediction that Tomahawk made early on in the game. He seemed like he thought Snots was going to catch that Rage Fist or the Ice Punch, so he just kept punching. And then Snots just went for the Sky Attack and knocked out the Ape.
Yeah, I think it's a risky play from Tomahawk, right? I get the understanding because he's thinking, why would Snots ever stay in here? I outpace him anyway.
Right.
But if you look at the team of Snots, unless there's a Wigglytuff in the back, nothing's going to appreciate a boosted Rage Fist on the side of Snots. I mean, I guess you could have thrown an Ice Punch and maybe Snots brings in a Lapras there, but it's a tough catch position for Snots, and honestly a tough position for Snots to even be in, getting baited both shields with the Rage Fist from the Shadow Annihilate. But yeah, really close game on both ends here there, and the littlest of adjustments maybe could have turned the tides for Snots, but I think given the hand heals dealt outside of no shielding of potential baits, he played that pretty much perfectly.
Definitely. That was so close, and it just came down to the wire at the end. But yeah, denying all of those catches really put Snots in a better position to potentially win that game, and he played to all the win cons that he possibly could. Tomahawk just barely edged out.
Yeah, let's see how Snots makes the adjustment here. Snots was our second place finisher in Milwaukee last year, just a couple months ago really, against Out of Pocket, and he wants a chance to take the title here this time around in Milwaukee, but he's got to get through Tomahawk UK first. He's got to win game number 2 to have even a chance for game number 3. Game number 2 is underway. It's going to be the Shadow Steelix into Dusclops, but without Crunch, this matchup is not that bad for the Dusclops.
Yeah, Tomahawk is thinking, oh, I wish my Furt was here. And he catches a Shadow Punch on the Furt and sneaks the Sucker Punch through, too.
Absolutely huge play from Tomahawk UK, catching the double resisted Sucker Punch, but now comes to Altaria, avoiding that matchup into the Shadow Steelix for the time being. And for Tomahawk UK, you don't usually want to throw a resisted trail play, so has to go for the Swift, the neutral damage for the Altaria, just going to outbulk in this matchup. You can see the Swift just not doing nearly enough. And if Snots leaves with some energy extra in the back, he can even throw super effective flamethrower at the Steelix.
Yeah, I think that Steelix into Altaria matchup is actually pretty uncomfortable for Steelix, especially on this moveset where you only have Psychic Fangs and Earthquake, which you would never throw an Earthquake at an Altaria. So you definitely have to go straight Psychic Fangs there, and the Thunder Fangs are just neutral. I wonder if he just goes for a full Thunder Fang down to try. Okay. He just comes back in, hard pivots the Steelix back in to catch the flamethrower, which he then shields. So he's trying to get an energy advantage here and see, okay, and he brings out the Novan Stunfisk.
This is a really tough position because if you get baited with the Psychic Fangs, it's very, very uncomfortable for Snots, especially after that first Earthquake landing. It's got to be in the back of your mind that, man, I really don't want to take another Earthquake yet again. Do I go for it or not is a real question. Crunch time here for Snots. Does he call it? He does call it at the last second. Huge call for Snots. Even though defense is dropped, these Thunder Fangs are doing absolutely nothing. Tomahawk goes for another bait, and this time around going to get the shield from Snots.
Yeah, well, if you bait once, you gotta bait twice.
Exactly.
Double down on it and get that shield, and then he can actually pivot out to catch a Mud Bomb on his Cradilly and neutralize this damage. He did not want to take another Mud Bomb on his Steelix.
Yeah, I like this play from Snots too, to just, desync the timer a little bit, but now getting in your Dustclops and has a super effective Ice Punch, forcing Tomahawk DK to spend the shields, but this is a tough position for Tomahawk DK to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. His Cradilly is going to go ahead and debuff this Dustclops, throwing on good timing there, maximizing that energy. He's not going to shield Dustclops, though. This does not threaten a KO. Dustclops is very bulky, so we'll do about half the remaining health there. And you'll want to throw that Ice Punch, which will be super effective damage, but it is one stage debuff. I think 2 Ice Punches will still threaten a KO on this Cradilly, though.
Yeah, and I think Snots is pretty comfortable with just letting this Dustclops go. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a shield, a swap actually, from Tomahawk UK. Another catch for him, catching everything this game, but is it enough? It's the real question, because now he's going to be locked into this next matchup. And I think Snots might just pivot right over to the, Stunfisk. Unless he comes to Cradilly here, I think he's going to come in Steelix. You just save the shield for the Earthquake. You're going to be in a good spot here. That's exactly what he does. Oh, and actually throwing the move.
I don't think this is enough to quite KO this Dustclops, but maybe one more Thunder Fang afterward. But Snots can pivot if he wants to. Oh, it does barely pick up the knockout.
Yeah, but now the Steelix has no energy. Snots still has a shield on his side. He's feeling good about this shield advantage. A Stunfisk, even against Cradilly, with that little health, you can do some damage here. First Mud Bomb is going to come through and take out the Steelix. Only one Mud Bomb away to take out this Cradilly. In comes the Rock Tomb. This debuff can be critical here. Oh, and Snots calls it. He doesn't even shield it, knowing that it could potentially KO, but he's confident here. And you can see Tomahawk acknowledging that he is going to take the loss here in game number 2. Huge no-shield call from Snots. Back against the wall. He's going to game number 3 and still has a chance for redemption.
Snots is reading Tomahawk's mind. Oh my gosh, that no-shield. That Grass Knot, I think the Grass Knot would not have threatened to KO though, so he could have lived it and still gotten to that Mud Bomb there. So I think it was technically a safe position. Would have that in case it was a Grass Knot.
It doesn't that safe to me, but for Snots, he's feeling pretty safe there as he number 3 here in this Losers Finals. Only one game left between these two trainers. I want who you're hoping to take it all. Both these trainers need your energy here for this final game. Number 1, as we take a look at the recap here. Dustclops coming in clutch here, especially after that moveset. So many, but he was in so many bad matchups, forcing himself to give up switch advantage time and time again, and that's what made it so hard for him to come back, even though he's able to catch all these resistant moves, catching a double resisted Sucker Punch on the Furret, catching an Ice Punch on the Furret again, but just a little bit falling short in those situations. Does he bring back the Shadow Annihilate is the real question here.
I think he might need to. I think he's got to bring an answer for that Unova Stunfisk, and he's got to line it up on it. He keeps bringing Steelix and ending up with Steelix on that Unova Stunfisk, which is really tough to play out, because if the Steelix gets chipped even a little bit, then he's suddenly in range of 2 Mud Bombs KOing, and those Mud Bombs pace so fast. It's 5 to the first one, 4 to the second one.
Yeah, and the covers from Altaria this season too, with that access to Flamethrower, he had to spend a shield on the Flamethrower in the Steelix matchup too. In the past, you would never have the shield, especially at that health range with the Steelix, but because Flamethrower is still going to take a big chunk out of your health bar, forcing to spend the shield there and just trying to dance around this matchup as much as possible. We haven't really seen the Azuma come to play, right? Azuma would be really good into the Altaria. It has played into Unova Stunfisk as well. And so I'm really surprised because it's not that weak into a team of Snots, maybe scared of that Shadow Scizor, but outside of that, he has a lot of utility with the Azumarill, so I'm really curious why he hasn't opted to try it into Snots' team.
I agree. I think the Azumarill would have a lot of play here. Maybe he's worried about the Lapras. Again, it's on Ice Beam, so that's really not that bad of a matchup for Azumarill. And Azumarill has a lot into every Pokemon on the team, honestly, especially because Snot seems to be in Dusclops core, and Azumarill would do amazing into that core.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see how it's going to adjust for this final game. He's still thinking, trying to lock in one final here in day number 1 here. I believe both trainers are ready. It's going to be Tomahawk UK for this losers finals of Group G. The winner will make it to day number 2. The tournament so much on the line for both players. Here we go. It is going to be Lapras into the Annihilate. A fantastic lead for Tomahawk UK, but it's still not the best lead because the Lapras is going to get that Sparkling Aria first.
Yeah, those super effective Psy Waves are going to chunk this Annihilate. Annihilate will pace the same to the first Sparkling Aria, but Lapras will beat it to the second one. Will outpace it. He's going to no-shield the Rage Fist, though. Potentially just looking for a shield advantage here by assuming Tomahawk shields this up. It would be... Yeah, there we go. Would be wild no shield there to get up here and boosted Annihilate. Of course, he does immediately pivot out to the Cradily to meet this Altaria.
And you can see, just like you said, right, he needs to answer, you know, something. He brings 3 of his best answers there with the Cradily, with the Annihilate, and with the Furret as well. So, you know, something's not a lot of places to go. To opt to bench the Steelix this time around, which I think is the right call here.
But, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think Sus is thinking, all right, if I put everything on the Stumpus, I might have a chance here, but the Stumpus is really not going to appreciate the Furret in this situation. He's going to get the Sky Tag before the Rock Tomb is reached. Let's see what Tomahawk UK does. Does he let this go? I think he's going to have to because he's already down a shield.
Yeah, and he will live this Sky Attack because it is debuff and it's Sky Attack from Altaria, not a very attack-weighted Pokemon. So I think he's trying to actually pivot out, bank this energy, and then maybe get the other pivot into the Unova Stunfisk. So this matchup actually gets uncomfortable for Furret when it has a shield disadvantage because these Mud Bombs and Thunder Shocks will slowly add up. Furret is not the bulky, so it's like mid-bulk. So they will definitely add up over time.
Definitely. It's kind of like average of a lot of different bulks for Pokemon here, but Mud Bomb is starting to connect. And here's the thing, right? Because he landed that Trailblaze, now he can probably go straight Swift here and put Snots in a really uncomfortable position. Oh no, he opts for the Trailblaze instead. I don't know if this is going to be a good play from Tomahawk UK or not, because Snots for sure was going to shield this either way. It's going to spend the shield on the Stumpus, trying to get as much energy as possible, almost at the back-to-back Mud Bomb. Let's not forget, both players have moves banked on the Cradily and the Altaria respectively. So both players trying to see how they're going to spend this final shield. Do we see a potential catch coming? Snot's going to throw this Mud Bomb instead.
Yeah, so the Furret will get KO'd from this Mud Bomb here. So he does just let it go. All of the Pokemon are looking pretty low on HP, except for this Annihilate. He can potentially get the counter down, and he does pivot out to catch this Rage Fist onto his very low HP Lapras, trying to save that Stunfisk. He did bank a move and got out with it. And I think because he has energy on Altaria, he does have a move on Altaria.
Wow, even throws the extra Dragon just in case. Can Tomahawk UK maybe go for a catch on the Cradily? There's still a move on the Cradily. What does Snots do? Do you throw? I think you have to throw the Mud Bomb right away, right? Tomahawk UK's not in here, and he just lets it go, expecting maybe a catch. But Tomahawk UK is going to take the 2-1 victory here over Snots and has a spot in day number 2.
Wow, what a match. That was, again, so back and forth, so much pivoting, so much desync of the switch timers again. Such a dynamic duo to watch, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And, Tomahawk UK, after seeing that, Stunfisk in both of the previous games, said, you know what? I'm just going to bring 3 of my best answers to it. And he found great matchups into that, Stunfisk. It's not playing really well, but just not a lot of places to go with, Stunfisk. And the pesky Shadow Annihilate, right? Just put in so much work for Tomahawk UK. Still had half health, did so much damage to take out, pretty much every Pokemon on Tomahawk or on Snots' side in some way, shape, or form. Chipping the Lapras, taking out the Altaria, and then finishing off the Stunfisk. So So big congrats to MILAWAUKEE. He gets another day 2 here in North America.
Yeah, I think benching that Steelix was absolutely the move because that Unova Sunfisk was coming every time. And like we had said before that last game started, right, Steelix just keeps ending up on that Sunfisk and it's not a good time. So just bring 3 counters to Sunfisk, don't give it anywhere to go, and you get the win and make it to day 2. Awesome.
Yeah, great performance from Snots all the way throughout, fighting through that loser's bracket side as well, and just barely misses out on the day number 2. As we take a look at the recap here, you know something, trying to bake some energy, baking energy on so many things. So the problem is to help our solo. Look at how everything is in the red, even making a fantastic catch in the end. His only wing condition, I feel like, was to try to Thundershock down a Credilli. I don't even know if a Mud Bomb's enough from that range. It would have been really, really close.
Yeah, I think Tomahawk made a call there that Snots was not going to bring that Scizor because he pivoted that Credilli in. That was his safe swap, right? To draw something out. The Scizor didn't meet it, so he was like, okay, Credilli's actually really good here. I think that's why he also banked all that energy in the mid game on the Credilli and then pivoted out again. He's like, well, Credilli's energy is going to go everywhere, right? And actually, Snots was triple weak to Credilli.
Yes.
He ran Altaria, Lapras, and Unova Sunfisk. He did not respect that Credilli at all.
Yeah, Credilli, #1 users for a reason. It is #1 users in day number 1. I will not be surprised to see it in #1. Players. I mean, looking at these teams too, there's a little bit overlap, right, with the Corsola and with the Credilli, but that's about it. We've seen Wigglytuff on teams, but I feel like we haven't seen Wigglytuff being used quite a bit in these tournaments. A couple Wigglytuff did make it to day number 2, but how does that look in this upcoming matchup?
Yeah, I think Wigglytuff has been used a lot as bench pressure to try to scare off the fighters, because we've seen some Primates, we've seen some Annihilates, we've seen a lot of Dark types, right? We've seen Guzzlord today, we've seen Moltres, Murkrow even. So I think Wigglytuff has been bench pressure for a lot of those Pokemon, but we haven't actually seen it brought much. I think Wigglytuff is hard to bring into teams that have Credilli, and most teams have Credilli, right?
Yes.
That matchup gets very uncomfortable very quickly for the Wigglytuff because of the pacing. You're outpacing to those Rock Tombs and debuffing the Wigglytuff. Those acids start to chunk over time, so it can be really uncomfortable. And we also see a Steel type on a lot of teams too, and Zulkin has that Fortress. So Wigglytuff might be scared off by those, which might free up his Primeape a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really gamble for Spandalicio. I think he's going to know that Zulkin's going to be ready for that Wigglytuff. But if you look at his team, Primeape, Galarian Moltres, Corsola, hard wins for that Wigglytuff. And then the Gastrodon, not too bad if you're Wigglytuff in that situation too. As long as you really avoid that Credilli and the Fortress, you could have some play. So I wouldn't be super surprised if he does opt to bring it, but I think Zulkin's going to be super prepared for it at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be very alignment dependent and trying to put that Wigglytuff into a good matchup. And maybe Spandalicio decides to go with something a little more neutral rather than that polarizing Wigglytuff pick.
Alignment dependent for Wigglytuff. I've never heard of that before.
We've seen a lot of trainers tend to not bring their alignment dependent Pokemon today and focus more on going with those neutral picks that have a lot of more play so that they can kind of dance around a little bit more and not get stuck in like a really bad matchup for that Pokemon.
Yeah, there's a couple players I know that are pretty comfortable with the Corsola versus Wigglytuff matchup. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to win this matchup, but if I can bring the Wigglytuff low enough, and maybe I'm going ABA weak to Wigglytuff, I can still have a lot of play in the back end, because if you take out the Wigglytuff, it's probably the counter for a lot, you know, what you have in the back, and on top of it, the opponent's back line Pokemon might be really, really weak to whatever you have in the back, like a Primeape, like a Moltres in those situations. So we might see Zilliken opt for that strategy as well, because, yeah, those wins for Wigglytuff are so impressive. There's just no way you flip those matchups, right? Maybe if you land a Brave Bird, maybe you land a close combat, but you're just going to lose so much health in the process of even just getting to those moves with those Pokemon weak to the Fairy.
Yeah, it looks like our trainers are locked in and we are ready for game 1 of this series. And we're going to have a Fortress into the Wigglytuff, which is exactly where it doesn't want to be.
A huge call from Zilliken. You know he's nodding, feeling pretty good about this as well. But he is ABA strong into that Wigglytuff. And look at the team composition. He has completely called Spandalicio's line. How does Spandaliccio get out of this matchup? It's a real question, because even if you take out, even if your Corviknight goes down and you take out the Moltres, there's still the Credilli in the back for the Marowak. Oh, and I forgot, this one's actually running Heavy Slam on the Corviknight, or Ironhead, I should say.
Ironhead, yeah. He's double legacy Corviknight here. Very interesting. I don't know if Zilliken knew that. Looks like he was maybe a little surprised by that Ironhead hit. He was expecting another Air Cutter to come through. Most Corviknights are running Paybacks. If you don't read the team sheet super carefully, you can definitely overlook that. I think the Marowak's going to have a lot of play in the back for Spandalicio, though, because he did bait out, or he did get the Moltres out. Zilliken safe swapped it, so now his Marowak is a little more free.
Yeah, a pretty interesting situation. I haven't really seen this combination at all from any trainer here, but Spandalicio bringing the spicier moveset of Corviknight, Ironhead, and Air Cutter. Very interesting, especially in a Ghost meta, but it really paid off in that matchup against the Flying Dark types. Now, this Wigglytuff doesn't have a lot of play in the back, so it's still not over for Zilliken, and that's why he felt so comfortable about just letting the Moltres go and knowing that, you know what, it's actually better, because the Fortress is kind of awkward into Wigglytuff. The Credilli is a much more straightforward matchup, so in a way he draws out the final Pokemon and he gets the even better matchup into Wigglytuff in the back.
Yeah, he is getting really low on his Fortress though, and he's going to pivot out to the Credilli, draw out the Marowak. This matchup is super uncomfortable for Credilli when shields are up, because that Mud Slap pressure is just going to do so much damage to this Credilli over time. So that Wigglytuff in the back is actually looking pretty good now because of the HP left on all of Zilliken's Pokemon. And he has to start shielding and save some of that HP.
Oh, and Zilliken went straight for the Grass Knot as well. This is a huge shield from Spandalicio. Sometimes, you know, you try to trick your opponents by shielding up there, trying to make it think that you're going for maybe the Rock Tomb. But Zilliken in a tough position. Do you double down on not baiting is the real question. I think Spandalicio is feeling pretty comfortable. Even if he gets baited, he's going to be in a good spot here as Zilliken goes for yet another Grass Knot. Wait, he's actually only one Acer away, I think, on the next one too. So Spandalicio lets us go. It could be Charles now. Oh, he does let it go, saying, you know what? Okay, maybe I can just charm down. There's still a full health Wigglytuff in the back and no shields on the side of Zilliken. And you only have, what, Sand Tomb and Rock Tomb. They're not going to do that much damage even to the Wigglytuff.
Yeah, he does no shield that from the Credilli. He can always reset his debuff later. He still has that 1 HP Corviknight sitting there in the back. And he's going to Sand Tomb the Wigglytuff. I think that Spandalicio will probably swap after this, because now his attack is debuffed and his defense is debuffed. So he's got to clear those debuffs and keep his Wigglytuff alive.
Yeah.
Or he could just go for the Swift and knock it out. I'm definitely concerned about that Credilli coming back in with those acids, though. So he may choose to reset the debuff now.
Yeah, we'll see. If you do reset it,
he is staying in and going for the Swift, because he will make it there. Okay, took a lot of acid damage to get there, but Wigglytuff is very thick, and he made it to that Swift to knock out the Credilli. He didn't want to swap out.
Yeah, a lot of HP on the Wigglytuff. Debuff, no problem on the attack and defense as Spandalicio finds a way around it. On the back of that very interesting moveset, Corviknight, Ironhead, Air Cutter. I don't know how often you'll find utility there, but he found the perfect time to find the perfect matchup for that Corviknight, a matchup that usually Corviknight loses pretty much with any other movesets, but he found the right moveset for that Moltres for sure.
Yeah, I think the Iron Head is actually pretty interesting with this team comp because you have a Wigglytuff and a Furret. So you're already discouraging people from bringing Corsola into your team. So maybe Corviknight doesn't actually need that payback coverage, and it's safe to run Iron Head, which is a lot better of a matchup into things like Cradilly, which is very, very prevalent in the meta.
Yeah, Cradilly, a little bit better into Tinkaton as well, right? With Wigglytuff, you're a lot weaker to Tinkaton. Into some of the bulkier steel types like Bastion, the Iron Head is fine in that matchup, especially when shields are up as well. So I actually really like the thought process behind Spandalicio's team building. And you know, he spent a lot of time thinking about it, right? No one accidentally runs Air Cutter Iron Head combination on Corviknight. It is very, very intentional. I mean, if he actually misregistered and just ran Iron Head, that's even more comical, but I think it was very intentional for these situations. Losing lead, not having a lot of places for the Wigglytuff to go, but still finding ways to utilize that berry type.
Yeah.
Zilkin, he's going to have to make an adjustment here. Down a game already. His back is against the wall. He needs to win this one to have a chance to still make it a day number 2.
Yeah, and our trainers are locked in, and we're going to see what are our lead Pokemon. We have Shadow Kanto Marowak into Forretress. This is a pretty neutral matchup, typically favored for Shadow Kanto Marowak, though, because of that Mud Slap damage going to do a lot over time, and Fortress can only Sand Tomb, which is not going to do a whole lot of damage. Those Bug Bites will add up a lot once he is debuffed, though.
And look at the Corviknight in the back, right? You got great matchups against the Gastrodon and the Moltres. Without the harder hitting payback, the Gastrodon might be a little bit weirder situation, but typically speaking, you're thinking the Moltres is flying into Corviknight, but not going to be the case here. And the Wigglytuff as well. The Moltres does not have a lot of places to go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who fights for alignment here, and I think Spandalicio will win alignment if Zilkin chooses to no-shield this Bone Club. Seems like he's going to let it go. So Spandalicio will get alignment, but he's actually looking to pivot out and not get farmed down. So he's going to pivot into his Corviknight, into the Moltres. I think Zilkin is okay with staying here because it's not a Wigglytuff.
It's not the Wigglytuff. Maybe he's trying to predict that it might be the Wigglytuff. I love how safe the Corviknight is for Spandalicio in this matchup here. So you can see he was hard pivoting over no matter what, trying to say, you know what, whatever you have in the back, I'm going to have a decent matchup here. But instead of going to Iron Head, he's going straight Air Cutter this time around, and this is not going to help you win the matchup like last time. Can Zilkin find the wing condition here? Because now, we get the boost though. That's going to be pretty big for Spandalicio. Back-to-back fly is reach. I think Spandalicio is going to just let this go and try to 2-shield Charm down.
Yeah, I think that's probably the play. He does pivot out to Gastrodon now, so Spandalicio knows the full roster of his opponent. So he can throw this boosted Air Cutter and then potentially look to pivot out, or he could probably stay in. He's not going to get Mud Slapped down. He'll reach another Air Cutter. He's boosted again, so now he's going to stay and throw this double boosted Air Cutter into this Gastrodon. Zilkin's thinking about, he's got to start using those shields. My HP is dwindling. We got to do something here.
Oh, and actually comes in the Marowak instead. I think he's trying to absorb as much of this energy as possible. I think the win condition for Spandalicio is just charm down. Can he do it? Is the question here. There's a fly banked on the Moltres. You can take one Water Pulse though, and you still have 2 shields. It's going to be a tough spot for Zilkin to be in. I think he even whispered a GG's right there. This Water Pulse is going to connect, but the thing is, even if you land it, I think you survive the Mud Slap damage. There's no way you start to punch down here. Just put the Wigglytuff into the yellow. No problem. Here comes the Charms. Here comes another one. And Zilkin, still 2 shields remaining on Spandalicio's side. But it's going to be the Corviknight, the Iron Head Corviknight that finds the spot here in day number 2 with Spandalicio as his pilot.
What a game. Just charm everything down in the end. We were predicting that Wigglytuff might come out, and it did. But yeah, that Corviknight with the Iron Head, such an interesting moveset. I wonder if more people are going to pick that up now that they've seen it here.
Yeah, it's a tough moveset to run, but it actually looked really good for Spandalicio. And, I thought maybe making a little bit misplaced by not throwing the Iron Head against the Moltres, but because he just kept going Air Cutter, he's starting to boost. It just became harder and harder to deal with the Corviknight over time for Zilkin. And Zilkin knew, it was like, I know this is an Air Cutter, I don't want to shield it, but eventually you got to shield something, right? And because he didn't shield enough, he just got fast attack down. And I was saying, I don't think the Gastrodon is nearly as good of a matchup with Corviknight without the payback, but if you're double boosted on Air Cutters, it's a fantastic matchup because you cannot mud slap down very easily in those situations. as well. And man, the Iron Head, Air Cutter, Corviknight, this meta is honestly really amazing to see because there's so much creativity that you can tap into, especially with these 40-second switch timers as well.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see trainers thinking outside the box and trying different movesets that are off the norm. Every single Corviknight we've seen today has been on Air Cutter, Payback, except for this one, right? He decided to break away, and you know it was intentional too because you have to use an elite charge TM to get that second legacy attack because they are both legacy charge attacks on that Corviknight.
Yeah, very excited to see how Spandalicio plays out. You know, the mirror matchup is actually pretty uncomfortable if you do run into that, but my guess is he hasn't seen that too much. However, we do have a few Corviknight in day number 2, so excited to see how he plays it out there, but he is going to join the top 16 for day number 2. He's going to be our 16th trainer there to round it out.
Yep. Our day 2 looking pretty stacked. I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, I do think that's a good point that you made. In the mirror, that Corviknight would be really uncomfortable without that payback. So he's got to work around that, especially having that Wigglytuff too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, stick around here as we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with a recap of day number 1 and see who our top 60 trainers are for day number 2.
Pre-game rituals is I always listen to the Beach Boys before I play, and we always stock up on those like little applesauce packets because we'll know we'll need them in between rounds.
A pre-game ritual that I typically do to kind of calm down my nerves for round 1 is that typically I'll think about my family, friends that are supporting me back home and probably like cheering, like looking at the standings and results, and I try to just like find comfort in that there's people like waiting for me to get back, and then just lock in for that round 1.
As of the last couple regionals I've attended, definitely eating breakfast. The first couple I tried doing on an empty stomach, and that is not a great way to go. I found myself a bit tired in the afternoon, so definitely get a breakfast, even if it's light, a banana, a granola bar. Get something in your body, get yourself ready to go, and you'll have a great day.
Pre-game rituals I swear by are probably just not even looking at my deck box. I test the night before, and I don't want to see my deck until I'm queued up against the first player, and I'm flipping over that first card.
So for me, when I'm prepping for a game, I'm getting ready. The things I like to do are think about my team, think about the matchups I have, think about my prep, what I know, and just try not to sweat it, honestly. Like, there's so many different teams out there, there's so many different calcs and everything, and you can spend a long time bogging yourself down. Believe in your practice. Comfort is king. You prep for this, you rock it.
So the pre-game rituals that I swear by is to take a deep breath and remember that it is impossible to win if you do not have fun. This is all about enjoying yourself, meeting new people, and just having fun with the game.
Welcome back, Pokemon trainers, to the 2026 Pokemon Go Milwaukee Regional Championships. We've had an unbelievable day of battle so far. My name is Homeslice Henry, joined by my wonderful co-casters, the illustrious Alpha Phoebe, aka Professor Willow Ashira, and Florges Doubter, Caleb Pang. Now, wow. It's honestly been a crazy day of battles. So for Phoebe, why don't you walk me through what has been one of your favorite moments from today's unbelievable slate of battles?
I think Valarash utilizing Greninja really, really well to flip switch against the grass-type Credoli. It really just goes to show how good of a Pokemon it can be and how potent, fast, hard-hitting, squishy Pokemon can be in the Pokemon Go meta.
That Greninja proved to be an absolute terror on the safe switch, as it was key to Valor Ash punching his ticket to day number 2. Now, Hashira, talk to me a little bit about, was there anything from today's battles that surprised you a little bit, or something that caught you off guard? Because obviously we know the meta from the last tournament by no means is the meta of the new tournament.
Yeah, so honestly, I was thrown away by the amount of Clodsire we saw today. We saw like almost no Clodsire in Pittsburgh, and then suddenly it's like Revenge of the Clodsires. Like they just came back and they're everywhere. And it's interesting because Charjabug was everywhere in Pittsburgh. Charjabug is very, very scarce in Milwaukee today. So I'm wondering if the Clodsires rose up to scare away the Charjabug, but the Charjabug just didn't come. I'm not sure.
And Clodsire also pretty good into another Pokemon that did make day 2, and that is Florges. Now, I've saved this for last. Caleb, you made some posts on socials about how you were not a fan of, let me rephrase, you did not believe in the power of Florges. It's made day 2. I have heard in the other regional that's going on this weekend is doing pretty well. So talk to me. Has your mind been changed, or are you still a Florges doubter?
I think only one Florges made it into day number 2, so I don't think so. I'm going to ask my good friend Slowpoke. Oh, what do you think, Slowpoke? Do you think Florges is meta relevant? No. Okay, well, you heard it from Slowpoke himself, so I got to see. But unless BJ Powell makes a crazy run in day number 2, I think it's a little bit hard to use, especially with all the Clodsire and Corviknight running around.
And speaking of day number 2, we have some unbelievable matches coming up. I want to take a look at the winner's side of the bracket. Now, Phoebe, we've got some unbelievable names here. What matchups are standing out to you?
I think Dapper Discs versus Drayflames. Drayflames has a really fun team. One of the few Shadow Charizards that we've seen. We'll have to see if it has some play into Dapper's team, given I don't think we saw it utilized in Drayflames games today.
And it had a pretty interesting choice of the Dragon Breath over Ember. Now, this is only one of the first regionals of our North American season. We started off in Pittsburgh, the road continued to Milwaukee, and Hashira, why don't you take us through a couple other tournaments we can look forward to coming up here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Las Vegas coming up pretty soon, and then we've got LAIC in Sao Paulo, followed by Toronto, and then we've also got London EUIC coming up after that. Seattle's coming up. We've got a bunch of unannounced regionals, so it'll be exciting to see where those will be taking place. And of course, we've got NAIC in New Orleans, and then we've got the World Championship in San Francisco.
And all roads do lead to Worlds, but a road that we need to make sure that you follow is, when does day 2 start? Caleb, take us through it.
It's going to start at 9:45 a.m. Eastern, 6:45 Pacific, and everywhere else you can do the conversion for that. So don't miss out, because day 2 is going to be packed with a lot of action here in Milwaukee.
And so far, the action has been absolutely incredible. You can follow along on all the socials. You can follow along at Pokemon.com/broadcast as well, so you're not missing a moment of the action. We have all these wonderful, wonderful socials. So make sure you're tuned in. You're not going to want to miss a moment, because the action has been unbelievable. And from all of us here, it's been an amazing day of battles. From me, Home/Henry, Alpha Phoebe, Hashira, and Caleb Pang, thank you so much for tuning in. But you got to make sure to be back here tomorrow, because the competition is only getting better from here.
Not what I'm gonna do. Alright. Alright, got. What is happening? What is happening? This. Okay. Alright, anyways. Ah, there's that. I mean, oh, man, I can't believe it's over, but at least I finally made it to the end. Did I start it from the beginning? But does that matter? No. Yeah, it does. But it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I just ended my Fortnite life, and I came here, but it's okay because I actually ended up doing everything I wanted to. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we love that. But now we need to make up a thumbnail. We do. I'm trying to think here. What is the best way to do this? So this. Make it like that. What? Okay. Hmm. I have an idea. I wanted to fit the vibe of the stream, which was meh. Unless if you came to actually watch the thing. I didn't give them much commentary except for. So there's that, but it's okay. That's alright. That is a-okay. You know? Anyway. So what's this? Oh. She still has this, which is not nice and horrifying. I don't like that. So we came to actually watch the thing, I think. Wow, great. Now we just get a screenshot of the actual game itself here. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's hopefully this screenshot's saved. You know, we're in Video Store now. What kind of Video Store now? And it has its last thing right there. Yeah. Moment of truth. We're in the multi-layer recoiling. Oh, wait. Oh, it's working. Didn't imagine that to actually happen, but here we are. Wow, she's working. I'm so happy here. Very much happy. Okay. I don't like being too aware of my facial expressions. It kind of freaks me out, but you know, okay, well, like, whatever. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, let's actually just look up the Pokemon Go logo. Let's just go simple and dimple right now, because, yeah. I was gonna do like a whole like backdrop of what it looked like, but never mind because like I don't know. Just doesn't seem right to be aged, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, cancel. I screenshotted a picture of Pokemon Go logo like over space, but never mind. I think it's actually 10 times better to just have it over a white. Yeah. That was my first choice anyway, bro. Just bro. Uh-oh, problem. It's not cropping right. Okay. Whatever. Okay, whatever. Won't you come with me? Oh, oh. Man, I hate making a thumbnail after like a while. I'm so out of practice. I hate that. I hate it here. Let's just hope it looks fine. Let's just hope. It's probably not. Okay. Ew. Right, she's happening. She's happening. It's actually not that bad of a thumbnail. Never mind. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. I mean, she's up. She is up. Sorry, my bad. I'm just looking. Okay. Alright, it's done. Alright. I love you guys, and I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next time, alright? This was pretty fun. I liked watching this with you guys, because I feel so lonely and sad. I just want to share my love for Pokemon Go with you guys. And it works. Alright. Oh, sorry, that made me so excited, the thought of that. Okay.